Station.
Showtime.
The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
You got some new spectacles there, pal.
I did. Joshy loves them because they're like his, but my wife says they're too small for my face and I look like Harry Potter. I look stupid.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter!
I'm like, I really don't care what you think, and I'm just wearing them for spite.
Are you doing magic? Let's see then. Sunshine, daisies, buttermellow. Turn this stupid fat rat yellow.
What do you got in your hand there? A magic wand, Harry Potter? You're not doing yourself any favors with the old magic wand.
If I hear you yell
Oculus Reparo.
I've only tried a few simple ones myself, but they've all worked for me.
Oculus Reparo sounds like fix my glasses.
It is.
Repair. Wow. That was layered joke, buddy. Good job.
Oculus Reparo. That's better, isn't it?
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride it, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight, he ain't doing nothing but running his mouth. Talk about it, we all about it. They making plans, we sit and count. Our chairs stacked just like a mountain. You heard about it, she running her mouth.
Anything happened yesterday, gang?
Nah, not that I can think of.
Glasses.
Normal-ish day. Chewy got new glasses. Talked about that a little bit. Harry Potter. What a kerfuffle. I like that word, kerfuffle. That makes me chuckle.
Jen, I had no idea when you texted me and it said call me soon or now. I'm like, uh-oh.
I said,
What did I do to Jen?
hey, call me. That's what it was. It was, hey, call me. And that phone call was at what time, Chew?
It had to be, well, my time, it was like 3-something.
3:55, I believe, your time.
55. And I had no idea why I had to call you.
Big
But
guy
I was
made
a
it
little
all
nervous.
the way to 4 p.m.
I wanted
4
to see if he could make it to
Eastern.
the show this morning.
I can't believe no one told me.
Well,
I was playing a fun game of how long will it take Chew just to find out by himself that's something he said when crazy on the internet.
That's so awesome. What's the number up to?
We are approaching 6 million views.
That is, wow, that's so awesome.
I wonder how many of our loyal listeners became aware of it yesterday. We have a very loyal fan base. We have people who listen to us every day, who weigh in on the show every day, who chit-chat with us. Those people, I feel like, know our show. And I think there's a benefit there. There's a luxury to knowing the show. A lot of people yesterday learned about our show. And they did not have nice things to say about our show. So I think we need to start with what Chew said yesterday. Josh, do you feel like we should say and play what Chew said yesterday that set the internet on fire?
Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
All right, let's hear it.
But, Gabe, I go back, and it's little things like this. And the reason we won in 95 when no one gave us a chance in San Francisco is because we intimidated them. I mean, and I always revert to Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons kicked the crap out of Brent Jones. And then it got contagious, and then it carried over. That's why, you guys are going to think I'm crazy.
Well, we already think that, so go ahead.
A 15-yard penalty, and I don't condone this, but I kind of do in the playoffs. A 15-yard penalty for a late hit on Brock Purdy is not a bad thing, as long as it's worth it. I'm just saying. This is the mindset you go into when it's battle, and it's kind of like the reverse of hockey. What don't they do in hockey in the playoffs, Joshy?
Shave their beards?
That and one other thing.
They don't fight.
They don't fight.
Correct.
They don't fight, right? This is kind of like sometimes a 15-yard penalty is worth it early in the game if you knock the living crap out of the guy. And then he kind of like sticking your helmet in the ribs of Nick Bosa is like, but I'm hearing ghosts.
So, Chew, a couple of times in that clip, you say, it's worth it. It's worth it. There's an ambiguity there that I think some people are misinterpreting. What did you mean by sometimes a 15-yard penalty is worth it early in the game?
Well, did you hear the word injured at all in that clip?
I didn't.
So a false narrative coming out of California. Wow, we've never heard that before. That's weird. So what I meant by that, and if you think I'm walking it back, San Francisco fans, you're crazy, okay? And what I meant by it, Jen, is sometimes a technical in basketball, even though the fans get frustrated, is a good thing. It gets you a call later down the line. And what I was saying is, and I'll go back to 95 when we played them, because we were 9.5-point dogs there. We went in there and dominated them, intimidated them, and that carried over for years. We went 6-2 in the 90s versus the 49ers, and it should have been 7-1 because Jerry Rice did fumble. So we owned you. You know why I know we owned you and intimidated you? Because Dallas did the same thing to us in the 90s. We didn't think we could beat them, and we were intimidated by them. We had that mindset of, I think we can win. That's where, and I could care less about 49ers fans. I am all about the Green Bay Packers. They need to get back to that in order to start flipping this thing around, because the last 10 years or so, the 49ers have been our Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, and they have to change that narrative, and how you do it is by intimidation. This is football, okay? I'm not saying play dirty, but that's part of it. And that's the formula to win, because Brock Purdy is, as I look at it, their weak link. Now, he's a hell of a player, but he's shown when he gets flustered and he gets hit, he will turn the ball over. That's what I'm saying. I could care less what they say. You 6 million. Why do you think I don't have social media? I don't give morons like that a voice.
So I think it's important to reference what you said earlier, which was, in the clip, there is no mention of hurting anyone. There is no mention of intent to injure anyone. There is no mention of knocking Brock Purdy out of the game. When you say worth it, Chew, and this is, again, I have the luxury of knowing you. I have the luxury of working with you every single morning, so I have a little background. I understand where you're coming from, and I know what you mean when you say things. Gabe is actually the expert at knowing what Chewy means when he says things. He's the translator, but I want to get to this very quickly, Gabe, before I let you pop in here. I believe the point you were trying to make when you said it is worth it was establish a level of physicality, set the tone, send a message, we're not going away. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yes. And I'll address that fraud, Richard Sherman. And I don't even know what he said, and I don't care what he said, okay? You mean to tell me Dan Quinn, in their Super Bowl years when they had their run, wasn't saying the exact same thing to the Legion of Boom? Don't do that, Richard, okay? I played, in all my years of playing in the NFL, I didn't have one personal foul called against me. Can you say the same? Stop with the clickbait, because that's all this is. It's clickbait. Football is a game of intimidation, okay? That's the mindset of a player. If I know I'm going up against a linebacker of a defensive end who has a bad shoulder, you think I'm sitting there going to block him and go, ooh, I know you got a bad shoulder. I'll try and stay to the left side of you and I won't hurt that right shoulder? No. You go after it. I'm sorry if that upsets some people, But that's the formula to win, especially when you're 9.5-point dogs. And how do I know that? Because we did it.
If you listen to the whole clip like we just played, again, Chewy goes on to explain, like, the worth it part is making him, in a very Chewy fashion, because Chewy
is seeing ghosts, and he said hearing ghosts.
Yep. Hearing ghosts and doing the Chewy sound effects along with it. But you can, clearly that's if you hear the, hey, this is worth it, because then it makes him jittery. That's kind of the Chewy translation part of this. And if you listen to the clip, you can clearly hear him finish that thought of not take him out and have him leave the field on a stretcher.
And even if
you want to make him jittery so he turns the ball over.
And even if you hadn't been aware of what seeing ghosts mean, which is shocking because in 2019, Sam Darnold said he was caught on a hot mic saying that he was seeing ghosts. And then everybody seemingly was like, what does that mean? What is seeing ghosts? If you weren't intimately close to football. And that, of course, means what you said, Gabe, which is all of a sudden you're hearing footsteps. You're paying attention to the pass rush instead of the coverage downfield, which again is a strategy to get a quarterback rattled. And I want to be clear, when Chewy says, I'm hearing ghost, sick seeing, right? Because he should have said seeing ghosts. That means that he's still in the game.
If you're hearing ghosts... football, yeah, I guess it's kind of that because like the ghosts aren't making footsteps.
But
yeah,
but
they can't be.
But this, I love.
It's like the Scooby-Doo guys, right? Like all of a sudden I'm going right to Scooby-Doo.
Well, I mean,
but
they're the foremost ghost experts.
I love the $6 million because they're trying to do to me, and us what I want the Packers to do to the 49ers. The difference is I won't be intimidated. I don't care. I don't read Twitter. My world is so small I could care less.
Chewy, let's be honest. You couldn't even log on to Twitter.
I don't know.
I'm trying to get you log on so we can record all 22 this week, and we can't even get you to do that.
I know.
I do want to be clear on this, guys. Like, we joke around on this show a lot. And again, if you're a loyal listener, you know this. We'll fumble a word, we'll mispronounce a word, we'll confuse a word. It's part of our charm. We know that words matter. We realize that as a show. But what we're trying to say is those who were listening to the clip that was pushed out on social media, I'm not sure that they heard what they think they heard. Because there's a difference between hitting and hurting. Hitting is a fundamental part of football. At its core, football is a game of invasion. Invasion isn't polite. It is literally taking over by force. We know that football is violent. We know that football is brutal. And so I was a little surprised at all of the pearl clutching that took place yesterday, as though Chewy's saying to hit a guy, even Chewy, as you said, a late hit, which is essentially a roughing the passer call, and there were almost 100 roughing the passer calls in the NFL this past year. He did not say to hurt anyone. He did not say to injure anyone. He did not say to knock Brock Purdy out of the game. And so you can't just hear what you want to hear. You can't just sit there and put your own interpretation on something.
True. It's all clickbait, which is fine. I mean, I don't think people understand the intimidation of the game. And we had to play twice a year a guy that just would not shut up. And I love John Randall. He was entertaining, but his thing was to intimidate the young guys. And that's why you had to have enforcers on the offense to counter that. Like Frankie Winters, like myself, like Brett, like Earl Dotson, because we had two rookie guards for a long stretch of the 90s, and that's part of the game.
Well, and you told this story too yesterday, Chew. I know it didn't make the clip because that it happened later in the show, but you were talking about when you played Dallas. Mike Holmgren wanted you to set the tone by hitting Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Give him that little extra shoulder. Maybe it's a little further downfield than
kind of knock him out.
Well,
I'm not walking anything back.
Yeah, but then you also missed the guy, right?
I did, because he's pretty good.
But that was part of also, I think, an era of football that you grew up in, played in the 90s.
Because I think this last handful of games, going back to when Aaron played, I think San Francisco had the edge when it came to intimidating the Packers, and they have to flip that narrative.
Well, what's the one thing you think of physicality on offense? Running the football.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what San Francisco's been able to do against the Packers these last 4 times.
Well, and again, as we talk about, guys, I think we all know this, but sometimes it's the thing that we don't want to admit. We're so infatuated with football as a society, right? We love the allegiance to a certain team, the loyalty, the tribalism that goes along with football. But physicality is a huge part of the DNA of football, right? And so as many rules as the NFL instates, you're never going to get away from that. You want to knock the living crap out of a running back to force a fumble, right? And I'm using Chewy's terms, knock the living crap. You want to hit the hell out of a quarterback, so now they're paying attention to the pass rush instead of the coverage downfield. A blocker wants to impose his will so sufficiently on a defensive player that they will think twice about coming around to that side of the line of scrimmage again. Like, all of those things are a part of football. And teams talk about setting the tone every single week. You jump into a locker room and somebody is saying, we got to set the tone early. What do you think they mean?
Well,
guys, what do you think they mean when they say we're going to set the tone?
And it's funny because we celebrate some physicality. Like on Get Up every week, they have the pancake block. On Good Morning Football, they do angry runs. Yeah. You think the angry run is you didn't get touched for 80-yard touchdown run? No, angry run is you're running through someone because you lowered the shoulder and you got physical.
There's one thing I want to add here, and Jen, you kind of went on this point, but I want to be more direct. Football is violent. And the sport revolves around violence. And there's a lot of cognitive dissonance, especially following the concussion protocol and all that stuff that happened, where people know what they're watching is violent and dangerous and can cause grave bodily harm. What's happening when they interpret what Chewy said as do something dirty to take him out, it allows you to draw a line in your head of this is okay. Short of this, anything past that is way too far and it's wrong.
Well, and I'll tell you the words, right? Disgusting, scum, clown, trash, because we saw it all day yesterday as people were getting off on telling us how lousy we were.
Right. So what's happening there is it's a way for you to mentally rationalize the amount of money, eyeballs, and effort you put into watching the sport while distancing yourself from the inherent violence and danger of it. When I heard Chewy say that, I didn't think twice about it. And this isn't a humble brag, but I've talked to people who play in the NFL or played college football at the highest levels. This is how they mostly all think. And this is mostly how they all play. Because if you go out there and you aren't violent and you let somebody impose that on you, your football team ends up losing. It's a matter of fact.
And your career is cut short.
Correct.
Right? Now let's talk about initiating the contact. Again, these are all buzzwords and buzz phrases surrounding the sport. What do you think that means, guys? What does it mean to initiate contact? Like, it's just crazy to me that people got so insane about the reaction to this yesterday. Football isn't changing. They will continue to change the rules to try to make the game safer, but it will never be safe. Players change, but the principles of football do not. And there is a problem in the way that we consume football, guys. Most everyone out there, I'm certain most of the people other than Richard Sherman who reacted to Chewy's comments yesterday, consume football on their televisions, however big or small they may be, or on their phones. And the problem with consuming football on television and on phones is it mutes the brutality. There is a luxury to that. Go to a game. Watch from the stands. Get as close to the action as you are physically or financially able to. And maybe you will understand what Chewy was saying about setting the tone. This is what players like Chew understand about the game. Someone is getting hit on every single play. Someone is getting the crap kicked out of them on every single drive. And so to overreact to Chewy saying what he said yesterday about setting the tone and basically letting the 49ers know that we're not going away, establishing a level of physicality, sending a message, should not have blown up the way that it did.
But $6 million is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, right?
You know what he said to me yesterday? The very first thing out of his mouth is I was like, hey, bud, you have any idea what's going on the interwebs? He said, no. I told him. And he goes,
Wait. Can I guess?
Yes, I would love for you to guess.
Is it about now two fan bases hate him, going back to Cincinnati?
No, but that's a good one.
Damn.
He said, never gone viral before.
Wasn't sure what it meant.
I was
like, I'll go to the doctor, I guess. I had no idea.
You get some penicillin for that viral you got going on?
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. We do have Jason Wilde coming up next. There is a big game going on, obviously, Packers versus 49ers. And we will ask Jason Wilde about the latest surrounding that contest right after this.
Full show podcasts, interviews, and special content is available right now at WisconsinOnDemand.com. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on 94.5 ESPN.
We still got a pretty quiet ride across the area. Just a couple of pockets of heavy traffic. Southbound 43 backing up a little bit just south of Hampton Avenue down to Keefe. And then on eastbound 94, we're looking at delays from just before 76th Street to about 68th. Otherwise, everything else is looking great. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, mostly cloudy with a high of 18. Tonight, light snow likely up to an inch to the north, 1 to 3 inches in Milwaukee and Point South, a low of 10. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
There are many reasons to choose document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Chris McLean, co-owner of DBAT Brookfield, the baseball and softball training facility, had his reasons.
I think the biggest thing, the important things for me are effective communication and timely response.
James Imaging Systems, Kyocera, Kyocera copiers, Kyocera network printers, Kyocera color systems, and the James team that works with you to provide the business technology to help you thrive.
Honestly, Candy had a lot to do with it.
Candy, your James Imaging Systems sales representative.
Candy built great rapport with our general manager right out of the gate. It helps that they're a local business. We're a local business as well.
James Imaging Systems, effective communication and local responsiveness.
They're a partner. James Imaging is a partner, not a vendor.
Kyocera. Kyocera from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Q Club of Wisconsin is the hangout spot for watching sports, playing games, and having some drinks. Mike, what do you have going on over there?
Gary, we have so much going on. We're still the place to be on game days to catch the green and gold. Book a holiday party in our VIP room, which includes a private pool table, 2 shuffleboard tables, and 4 dartboards. Plus, we got great live music every Saturday night. And of course, we've got our fish fry on Wednesdays and Fridays, where we pile it high.
All happening at the Q Club of Wisconsin, North Grandview Boulevard in Waukesha. Check out qclubofwisconsin.com.
Monster Jam, massive stunts, all-out racing, crazy skills. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. The fun begins at the pit party, where you can meet the drivers, get autographs, take pictures, and see the trucks up close. Get your $20 pit party pass at monsterjam.com today. Must have valid event ticket to enter pit party. Restrictions may apply. Rules and activities are subject to change. Visit website for event details. Coming to Fiserv Forum this weekend.
What's better than free? How about play free all year? This January at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, you can win over $2,000 in reward play every month all year long. Just play your favorite games to earn prize drawing entries. Then stop by each Thursday night in January to see if you're a winner. $400,000 in prizes is up for grabs. Over 40 winners each week. Yeah, free is for me. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Ready, down, put. All Packers, all the time.
He has come light years in the last 2 months, and people should be over the moon excited about that.
Okay, most of the time.
Almonds specifically, or all nuts?
Well, these nuts, those nuts, whatever nuts work.
It's Jason Wilde on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Brought to you by Boucher Automotive. With 16 different new car brands and over 35 pre-owned brands to choose from. Boucher Automotive. We are driven by you.
Always great to get the latest from our pal and teammate Jason Wilde at 1265. Good morning, Jason. How are you today?
I am very good. Thank you for asking.
Happy
How
to
are
hear
you
that.
guys?
We're good. Wanted to ask you this morning as we begin preparing for Packers-Niners this morning. Which Packers player are you most confident in doing their job and putting Green Bay in a position to win other than the quarterback Jordan Love?
Zach Tom.
I love it. That's who I was thinking. He's been phenomenal. Now, how much does he affect the outcome of the game?
A lot. He's going to go against Bosa most of the game.
All right, fair enough.
The problem is that they've got all these top 10 picks lined up across their front, and I know Chase Young is a rental, basically, right? But they've got basically 5 guys that lead that group, and Hargraves is the only one who didn't enter the league as a high first-round pick. So it's a really good group, and one of the reasons, as you can read in the Swarty's Wisconsin State Journal and on Madison.com, is that they've been so good is that their offensive line has held up and kind of coalesced after being kind of a hot mess during the first half of the season. Over the last 10 games, Jordan Love's been sacked 12 times. I'm no mathematician, but that's just over 1 a game, and 0 by the Cowboys. Now, it's not just the offensive line. Jordan's been great in what Matt LaFleur called a dirty pocket, which felt a little dirty, so that he changed it to muddy pocket. And Aaron Jones has done a really good job of cleaning up some blitzes that have been missed, but they've protected him really well, and that's what's allowed him to put up the numbers that he's put up, in addition to him just playing extremely well.
Jason, is Purdy the weak link in this offense? And what I mean by that, you got a tight end, Kittle, who's one of the best at his position. You have McCaffrey, who is probably the best at that position. And then you got their receivers, Debo, who's one of the best. Do they have to get to Purdy? Because he's shown if you rattle him and hit him like they did against Baltimore, he's susceptible to turning the ball over. Is that? And I don't think you can sit back and keep everything in front of you and play cover 2. I think they have to come after him, and that's their best chance of winning this game.
Right, and it's also their best chance of things kind of going spiraling quickly and getting themselves in trouble. Yes, I agree, but I think that's what they have to do. The problem, of course, with that theory, Chew, is that they don't get to play Baltimore's defense in place of Joe Barry's defense, and we'll see how effectively they can do that. But you're right. I mean, when they didn't have Trent Williams, right, earlier in the year when they went on that skid, that was also a time where Purdy was under a lot of pressure and they weren't protecting him well. And look, in fairness to Brock Purdy, lots of quarterbacks struggle. I just got done talking about Love and the success he's had, right? I mean, one of the reasons why, and there were a myriad of reasons earlier in the season why Love's numbers were poor, including his own inaccuracy, his own indecisiveness, guys not being where they were supposed to be when they were supposed to be there. But also, after Bakhtiari went down, Rasheed Walker wasn't very good. Elton Jenkins was playing, even though he probably came back very prematurely from the knee injury he had in Atlanta. Josh Myers wasn't playing well. And so, if your offensive line plays poorly, I don't care if you're Brock Purdy or Jordan Love or Brett Favre, with Bruce Wilkerson mooing his way through a line change, I just think that, that's where it all begins. And in Purdy's case, if they protect him, he's proven that he's pretty darn good. I mean, he takes a lot of slander, right? I mean, nobody seems to think he's any good, and I understand his pedigree. I understand all that, but you surround him with the pieces that they've surrounded him with, and if you protect him, I think he's been pretty damn good this year.
I do just want to do a smidge of housekeeping here. I did see on social media yesterday by someone who does cover the Packers that Purdy led the NFL this season in passer rating when pressured. So when I saw that, I thought, oh no, even pressuring this guy, even blitzing him, he has apparently, according to this information, done well under those circumstances.
Good to know.
Yeah, I want to know where that came from, because I watched the Baltimore game, and I don't know how you could have those 4 interceptions and still lead the league in passer rating. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the Packers defense, Jason. Why has Joe Barry's defense been able to be successful over the last 2 weeks?
He's been motivated by your hope of him being fired.
All right.
Wait, is that true? No, I don't mean him specifically, Gabe specifically, but there must be that must be a portion of it, right? I mean, this guy's back was against the wall. He was in a corner, and it does seem like the defensive players have had his back.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, they certainly have. I know Preston Smith said that they play for Joe B. I'm not sure that's. It sounds good. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't talked to guys about, is this a win-one for the Gipper type deal? And I was only half kidding about Gabe. I don't think Gabe's getting a game ball.
Damn it.
But I do think that, I know. This was an opportunity for you, but I didn't pass along the information to Joe Barry quickly enough of just how adamant you've been. But look, the bottom line is, I do think he has, as Jen said, with his back against the wall, said, all right, I got to do some things differently, right? And they have. Now, there have still been instances, including on Sunday, if you guys noticed, there was a play where, Quay Walker was covering CeeDee Lamb, right? I'm sure, Gabe, you saw that.
Oh, I saw it almost immediately.
Which I'm thinking, come on now, you got to know your matchups. You got to go Preston Smith there.
Yeah, well, hey, it ended up being an incomplete pass. I mean, it was a bad throw by Dak, but it was still an incomplete pass, Jason.
It did, very well defended. But I do think that he has risen to the challenge. And obviously, as a defensive coordinator, it's not like you go out there with your hair on fire. But I do think, even though you're not making the plays, you're up in the box. I do think there's been a more aggressive mentality.
Is that because of Matt LaFleur?
I think that's part of it, too.
Because LaFleur did say he was going to get himself more involved.
Correct. And I do think that this is one of the reasons why, barring a Super Bowl run, I still think they're going to make a change. Because I think once your head coach, who is the offensive play caller, who acknowledged that him getting more involved with the defense, there's only so many hours in a day, and it's not super realistic for him to be ultra hands-on with his approach to helping the defense out. Once you start doing that, it does kind of send a message that you don't believe that one of your top lieutenants can do the job without you interfering, right? Like, you would like to give everyone autonomy to be able to, take care of their department, and you maybe have a suggestion from time to time. And in this case, when he said that, I think that was one of the reasons why we felt fairly certain that while he wasn't making the change in season, it was more likely to happen after the season.
Last thing before we let you go, Jason, obviously the big news last night in the NFL was that Mike McCarthy will retain his job as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. What was your reaction to that news?
Well, I guess I won't be walking his property in the wintertime because he's got to get ready for the draft and everything else. But look, I was probably mildly surprised. I think Schefter tweeted that while we were at Sid's basketball practice, and one of the other coaches got like an alert on his watch and mentioned it, and I was pleasantly surprised. Look, I really like Mike. I don't know. Obviously, they pay him very well. I don't know if I could work for Jerry Jones, and I also find myself wondering who would want that job. I know it's a destination job and everything else, but with Jerry Jones getting older and them being further and further and further away from their last Super Bowl and their how many playoff wins do they even have over the last 3 decades? That's not. Like, if I'm Bill Belichick, do I want that job? Like, if I'm Jim Harbaugh, do I want that job? I think I could probably find success elsewhere more effectively than going to Dallas. So I thought it was the right decision. I just didn't think Jerry would make it.
Yeah, I saw Vrabel's name attached to that job, which it turns out was not actually a job that was available. It was more of just a hypothetical job. Jason, we appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. Have a good one. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, everybody, take care. Be good.
He's Jason Wilde. You can hear him on Wilde and Tausch right after Jen, Gabe, and Chewy right here on ESPN Milwaukee. Have you guys tried Celsius energy drink yet? You know, when I dragged myself out of bed this morning and thought about today's show, I was like, gonna need a Celsius. Maybe 2. 18 different flavors to choose from Arctic Vibe to Fuji Apple Pear, and of course, my favorite, the Peach Vibe. I'm not even going to let these knuckleheads weigh in. They always say strawberry. They know that it's wrong. They do it anyway just to annoy me. It's so good. Yeah, I have one every Saturday morning before I hit the air for college football season, and it keeps me going throughout the day. You can find it at your local Pick and Save stores or online at Amazon.com. Stay active and energized all day long with Celsius Essential Energy Drinks. Celsius Essential Energy Drinks.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
Things starting to get a little bit tighter now. Southbound 43 seeing delays from about Silver Spring all the way down past Capitol Drive. Eastbound 94 backing up from Brookfield Road all the way past Calhoun. Back on the brakes from 92nd Street to about Hawley Road. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. Mostly cloudy with a high of 18. Tonight, light snow likely up to the an inch to the north, 1 to 3 inches from Milwaukee south, a low of 10. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Being present and in the moment for family activities was impossible because Will Burt was so focused on the constant pain in his leg.
My wife likes to take walks. I always kind of dreaded going on walks because they hurt. The boys both play baseball. I coach their teams. I was going to do them and be in pain and be uncomfortable and kind of sacrifice my own health.
An old Achilles injury left Will coping with agonizing pain until he discovered the natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics. No surgery or steroids. The procedure took place in the office, and Will walked right out.
I feel great. There's no pain. There's no tenderness.
Patients like Will are feeling amazing and living their best lives.
Ironically, just got off the golf course today, so I think that's a good telltale sign that the Achilles is feeling better.
Don't be in pain another day. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Hi everyone, John Miller here from PDS, a Converge company. PDS has been providing technology solutions and transforming IT for area companies for over 30 years. Today, we are helping organizations integrate digital workplace strategies that are giving today's worker the true ability to work from anywhere as they balance work and life both securely and productively. And as HP's largest partner in the area, our combined solutions have never been more important. If you're struggling with this, know we stand ready to help. From ideation to transformation, we can help you evolve your work from anywhere strategy. Learn more at pdsit.net.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's a new year, so what are the changes you're looking to make in 2024? If you've been thinking about therapy but have been putting it off, now's the time to start. Therapy helps you build on your existing strengths to form a better you. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/like today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/like.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick! Sorry, kids! Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Hey, Drew Scott here, and I'm Jonathan Scott, reminding you that life's better with a home policy from American Family Insurance. They can help you get just the right protection at just the right price and help you save when you bundle home and auto. Kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It'll be just right for you. We love a custom build. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company SI and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
You are listening to Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
And then you have Raj, who I didn't think he just didn't have the body type of a right tackle.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Who the hell are you talking about?
What's his name? Yash.
Raj?
Like, I was thinking, okay,
who's Raj? You tell us, buddy.
On 94.5 ESPN.
I'm not saying it's your fault, although you could have done more.
See, Chewy misspeaks all the time. Raj, Yash.
Yeah, it tracks.
Yeah, see, and earlier this week, you're like, whoa, when did I get so bad at names?
How did
we have example after example of you knowing literally no one's name.
I was thinking, go ahead, Chew.
How did the song turn out?
Oh, I think we're going to debut it tomorrow.
Okay.
So teaser/spoiler. Let's go with teaser on this one. Teaser will debut the song for the Packers-Niners game, I think, tomorrow.
Did you know Joshy was recording something too?
No. What did you record, Joshy?
Might have done a little Britney Spears.
Does it have the word love in it or no?
No, it has Joe Barry heavily featured.
Could be about.
Oh, Barry, Barry.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you nailed it.
Yes, I love that. We asked Jason Wilde earlier this morning, and if you missed any of that appearance, you can always find it on Wisconsin On Demand, wherever you get your podcasts. Which Packers player are you most confident in doing their job and putting Green Bay in a position to win? Now, I'm saying besides Jordan Love, because again, the dude was one completion away from a perfect passer rating. I am supremely, 100% confident in Jordan Love's ability to usher this team to a victory. But after that, what is your confidence level? I love that Jason said Zach Tom because I don't think he's getting enough credit for what he has done this season. He has been remarkable. Ironically, I bet you if you asked or polled 100 Packers fans, they couldn't find Zach Tom in the locker room. I mean, you take away those little placards above their lockers that say their names, and they'd be like, I don't know.
But, Chew, this is a different test for Zach Tom than even it was last week because the Cowboys moved Micah Parsons around. So it really took the entire offensive line effort to slow down Micah Parsons the way that they did. Like, and this is true of any pass rusher. You mess up one time, that can wreck the game at the most inopportune time. So, like, he's going to have Bosa across from him, 95% of the snaps on Saturday night?
That's why at times you give him help, and we used to do that back in the day. You don't give him help on every play, but just let Bosa know that there's someone there to chip him.
So you're talking like Kraft Musgrave?
It can be a back as he's going out on a check down, just throwing a shoulder into him. He just has to know that he doesn't know when it's coming.
Throw a shoulder,
right?
Whew, that sounds violent.
I mean, do we think A.J. Dillon's going to play?
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, but just for that standpoint alone, play him 6 plays on passing plays just to let Bosa know that, hey, we're going to help at times. See, you want his second eye to see ghosts. And that's what I mean by seeing ghosts. Once you start seeing ghosts, it takes away some of that speed. It takes away some of that ability. So I would just let him know that, hey, there's a presence there and we're watching you. But Zach Tom is very important. I think my guy is Jaden Reed because I've been in that spot before, in the 90s when you have an offense like that spreads the ball around to a lot of receivers. And after a game where you have 0 catches, and Holmgren was great because he would come up, because guys pout. You know that, right?
What?
I mean, I pout at times.
Wait, how did... Well, I suppose that makes sense. That's why your wife gave you the nickname NFL Boy anytime you get pouty.
So I pout at times, and I'm sure LaFleur went up to Jaden and said, don't worry, I know you had no catches. We're going to get you the ball.
Well, and it's easy to manufacture him touches because they like to run the end around, or they'll line up in the backfield and they can do different things with him. I think it's almost easier to kind of manufacture those touches for him versus, Christian Watson had 1 catch or whatever. It's easier to manufacture touches for Jaden Reed than it is any other wide receiver.
And I was just thinking, my brain is telling me that Jaden Reed goes in motion more than mostly every other player, but I don't know that that's true, actually, because I've seen Dontavian Wicks in motion. I have seen Christian Watson in motion. So that motion thing is, again, that twofer, right? Because it makes the defense show what they're doing. And also, Jaden Reed is fantastic. He has been fantastic from the backfield as well. I like the Jaden Reed one. I think I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is my guy that I am most confident in after... Don't do the... Look at me.
They're really good.
Why, did you steal
defending the run.
I know they're really good defending the run, but I still think that Aaron Jones is the guy I'm most confident. He's shifty. He's really shifty. One of the big criticisms of A.J. Dillon over the years has been he was taken down by first contact. Mm-hmm. That's not Aaron Jones. So I do feel like that is an advantage, even if they're good against the run, that he can kind of get around that first guy, that first attack.
He's on a heater like he's never been on in his career before.
That's true.
And makes me... When you start getting this hot, you start wondering when's that heater going to come to an end. He had done prior to this, he had done back-to-back 100-yard rushing games once, and now he's done 4 games in a row.
Watson's presence also needs to be felt. What was his coming out party a handful of games ago where he was off for a long time and then he came out in the first half and caught a bunch of balls, a few deep ones? They need to feel his presence too. Was it Detroit?
Yeah, remember it was the opening play that LaFleur wanted to change. It was a deep ball. He went up and actually won.
Yeah. LaFleur wanted to change it from the Christian Watson, and Jordan Love insisted on that play. Uh-huh. And again, set the tone, right? Immediately you show the defense that you've got that deep ball threat that he's come to play that day, and it changes the way the defense has to defend the Packers.
Do you take the ball again? You win the toss?
I think so. No. I think so. Let's put that on the poll, actually. If you win the toss, do you take the ball again?
I'm not. See, I'm superstitious, and I do not go with the exact same game plan you had against Dallas.
Well, but that's just the idea against you. If you believe that the Packers need to get out to an early lead, because the whole talk last week was that the Cowboys don't play great from behind because, frankly, they were not in that position very often.
And LaFleur's MO during the season is he starts out really hot, and then good opposing defenses kind of figure him out a little bit, and it was nice that Dallas never figured him out.
Because they couldn't stop the run.
So, look, the stars have to align for this to happen, and they can align. I'm just saying it's got to align like it did in 95. It's got to align that way.
If the Niners played their A game back in 95, would they have beaten you? Or did you force them? Do you feel like you guys forced them off their A game?
We forced them off their A game because they were a finesse team back then. They weren't road graders. I don't think they're a finesse team now, but back then they were just a finesse team. And we knew, I think Fritz was the defensive coordinator, and I remember that week it was just get after them,
Because that's what the Packers have to do this week. Like the 49ers A game is better than the Packers A game.
I mean,
it just is. So you got to find a way to get them off their A game so you can have an opportunity to win the game.
And it does feel like, again, physicality, which I know is not the identity of this team. I think a lot of people made that point yesterday in reference to what you said, Shu. That's just not who they have been. But they do have physical guys. They do have guys who can impose their will, who can early in that game set a tone. And again, some of that will be some of those young players on the defensive side of the ball. Like, the big reason why they invested so much draft capital on that side was because they wanted that side to be able to, at times, make a statement. This would be the perfect stage, the perfect opportunity to do just that.
Who is that?
Go ahead, Shu.
Who is that guy on defense? I mean, I swear they took Wayne off his meds before that game. Kind of like Tyson when he used to fight. I'm serious. Wayne was like, I tell you, that game, I didn't want to mess with Wayne.
So you know, I went back and watched so many clips yesterday of Wayne Simmons, was not familiar with his work. I do appreciate you, Chew.
Yes.
I appreciate that you showed me. But I mean, in particular, the game that you referenced, I watched him pile driving guys. And I just wanted to see what you were talking about from a physicality standpoint.
Yeah.
And absolutely no questions asked. He did that.
Yeah, I don't know if they have that guy, Chew, to be honest with you.
It's in there. You just got to pull it out of the guys.
But if they haven't pulled it out to this point, I mean, the season's now 18 games old. I don't know who you're going to pull it out of. Is it Kenny?
I don't know, but I'm telling you, watching in Dallas, let's not forget, they were the number one scoring offense in the NFL. And that defense looked different, and they manhandled.
Telling me Quay Walker doesn't have a little crazy in him. You're telling me Quay Walker.
But that comes out on the sideline when a coach is in his face.
That's true.
Maybe we can channel it to stay within the white lines.
I think it's the secondary. The secondary sets the tone for the Packers.
Really?
I think Carrington Valentine, Jair Alexander, Darnell Savage, when he's not missing and actually making plays and
Keyshawn?
hits. Yeah, those guys set the tone. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the podcast with his brother saying, how did you let the Packers beat you? And then he was saying, Valentine and Ballantyne, those guys talk and they get after you. They don't care. And I think those are the tone setters. And, Keyshawn Nixon has made a lot of those, just attack the line of scrimmage and make a big hit.
He made probably the most underrated play last week. That kind of got forgotten because it ended up being a blowout.
Right.
But early in the game, when he had his sack of Dak, that was a huge play in that moment that kind of stifled any sort of momentum the Cowboys had on that drive.
Would you say it set the tone? So...
Well, Sutton set the tone because when you got CD Lamb and Dak clearly fighting
something
in the
happened
middle of the game.
Yeah.
Someone did something.
I think that's where Jair has to. If we're talking about the tone setter, that's actually Jair. Jair will be the tone setter in terms of getting everybody hyped up, getting everybody on his level of how hyped he is. He's now, again, not been as physical, but I think it's more about getting everybody in that right headspace, and that's where he becomes that tone setter.
I also think we underrate Rashawn Gary and what he means to the defense. I've seen him break down in those little videos. He breaks the team down after wins almost every single time. He's clearly a vocal leader. His play always isn't leader play, But to me, that guy is one that gets everyone going. And if he starts making plays, it can only be better for
Who was the Packers player yesterday? The clip that was circulating on social media, amongst other things. No,
or Devondre. Or who's the?
Somebody walked up to Jordan Love and said, "Legacy, keep doing what you're doing." It was a defensive player. I'll find it. I thought maybe it was Rashawn Gary, but now my brain is not locating the answer to that trivia question. 800-990-3776. Which Packers player are you most confident in doing their job and putting Green Bay in a position to win? 800-990-3776. We've given our responses. Gabe, have you said your player? We'll talk about it after the break.
We can do that.
Oh, a little teaser right after this.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
There are many reasons to choose document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Chris McLean, co-owner of DBAT Brookfield, the baseball and softball training facility, had his reasons.
I think the biggest thing, the important things for me are effective communication and timely response.
James Imaging Systems, Kyocera copiers, Kyocera network printers, Kyocera color systems, and the James team that works with you to provide the business technology to help you thrive.
Honestly, Candy had a lot to do with it.
Candy, your James Imaging Systems sales representative.
Candy built great rapport with our general manager right out of the gate. It helps that they're a local business. We're a local business as well.
James Imaging Systems, effective communication and local responsiveness.
They're a partner. James Imaging is a partner, not a vendor.
Kyocera from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Brought to you by Great Clips. Scan the QR code at participating Great Clip salons and save 20% on select tickets. Terms apply. Scan QR code in salon for details. Coming to Fiserv Forum this weekend.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
DismeCoins.com is the best site online to purchase Trump commemorative coins because no one else features the exclusive Ultra MAGA Trump coin line. Whether it's Let's Go Brandon or Still My President, each and every coin is made right here in the USA on machines built in America by Americans who love this country. These are collectibles, so when they're gone, they're gone. These coins make a wonderful gift for yourself or for the Trump memorabilia collector in your life with free shipping for orders over $400 at DismeCoins.com. That's DISME coins.com.
It's Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Unbelievable that they ran all over this vaunted defense, this elite defense.
What Kool-Aid?
Why? It was poop Kool-Aid, and we gobbled it down.
On 94.5 ESPN.
Lots of folks weighing in on the ESPN Milwaukee talk and text line. Who's the player you're most confident in besides Jordan Love? And look, it could be Jordan Love for you. I'm just saying, for me personally, I want to take him out of the mix because I want to dig a little deeper on some of the other guys who I feel have performed really well under pressure and who I feel confident will be able to carry the day for the Packers. I said Aaron Jones. Gabe, who's your guy?
I think I'm going Jair. Because even though he has been unreliable throughout the course of the regular season, the one thing I think over the last 2 years we've definitely learned about him is when there's a big game looming, that dude's going to get up. Whether it was holding Justin Jefferson to the one catch for 15 yards, whether it was last week, and we were unsure. Like, there was the report before the game from the NFL Network saying Jair was 50-50, and then Jane Slater had the report of all the different things he did to try to make sure he was healthy. And then what does the dude do? Has an interception early that really sets the Packers up to be able to take that lead that they're looking for, to get up by a couple of scores. And he played really well until he tweaked that ankle again. And I have no doubt that he's going to do everything possible. He's not a guy I think needs to go through, especially since this week is just mostly walkthroughs for the Packers. Like, I think he's a guy that he's going to be out there. I have no doubt he's going to be out there. And he gets himself up for the biggest moments. And that's what this is for the Packers.
LaFleur did say that he is further along than he was last week at this point. So they believe he has a better chance of playing than he did even last week when he was on the field.
Who's better? CeeDee Lamb or Debo?
You said CD, didn't you?
They're different, but it's CD. Like, CD is a better pure receiver.
So you don't expect Jair to be following?
No, if you were probably going to put him on one person, it'd probably be Ayuk. Because Ayuk's more of a traditional wide receiver. Yeah. Like, Debo's
pushes the ball downfield.
I tell you who scares me, though, more than anyone is Kittle. Because if they get in,
middle of the field, Joe Barry defense, I see where you're coming from.
No, it's just the play-action pass. If they allow McCaffrey to get his run game going, and the Packers have been better, but they haven't been great all season long, play-action pass it stings, And then what do you do with him? Yeah. If you're going to play man, who covers him? Do you put Quay on him? Do you put a safety on him? Kittle scares me the most outside of McCaffrey, out of anyone else on that offense.
The thing with
George, can take over a game.
The thing with George Kittle is he makes you tackle.
Yes.
Because he runs through your face. And that's not necessarily the Packers' strong point.
That has not been a strong point, especially for that secondary.
The Packers have been using Devondre Campbell now since he's been injured in more of a coverage linebacker position, which we saw him play poorly in against Tampa Bay. But then this past week, it's hard to tell how he played because the game was so out of hand. But they've been bringing him in mostly in those situations because he is playing injured.
I tell you what, I would rather play Kelsey than Kittle because Kelsey can't block. Kittle can block. Mm-hmm. Kittle can get after it. That's one thing that scares me this week is the play-action pass. They have to be dialed in on that.
Well, and they're going to be, because they're going to have to sell out in order to stop the run, Chew.
Yeah.
So that is a scary part.
Is this going to be mirror image offenses, by the way? Are we going to be seeing the same type of motion, the same type of formation, the same type of play calling from the Kyle Shanahan group as we have seen this season from Matt LaFleur?
Probably.
Yep. It's going to be like that Spider-Man meme. Uh-huh. That Spider-Man guy where he's just pointing at each other. That's what we're going to see on the field.
Except Matt LaFleur, instead of using his pointer finger, might be using a different finger when he's pointing back at Shanahan.
If I'm LaFleur, I'm changing up personnel groups because you have two tight ends, even though they're young, can play the game. And I've told you guys a million times, back in the day, San Francisco's going to have to make a decision because when it was me and Keith, if they came in small, we'd run the ball. If they came in big, we would throw the ball. So I see him changing up a lot of personnel groupings to keep that defense kind of off balance. The coaching aspect of this game is going to be huge.
Big news last night in the NFL. Mike McCarthy keeping his job with the Cowboys. Packers fans, you surprised by that? I know you got a soft spot in your heart for Mike McCarthy, but surprised that he's keeping his job after the performance the Cowboys put up? We'll talk about that right after this on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy are back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got some delays out there for sure. We've got a broken down vehicle eastbound 94 at Highway 18 on the left shoulder, kind of in a weird spot. So watch out for delays coming in from just about Highway 16 to that point. It's going to stay heavy all the way to about almost Moreland Road. We've also got backups from about the Zoo interchange through the Stadium interchange. Southbound 43 slowing down Bender Road all the way down past Keefe, with the northbound side slowing right around the North Avenue curve up to Keefe. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, mostly cloudy with a high of 18. Tonight, light snow likely up to an inch to the north, 1 to 3 inches in Milwaukee and points south, with a low of 10. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
Hey, this is Jen Latta from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. One of the best decisions I made recently was getting an infrared sauna from Good Health Saunas. They're a local business that's been around for 2 decades, based right in Appleton and Waukesha. Good Health Saunas are easy to install, cost as little as 25 cents a day, and include a true lifetime warranty. Even firefighters all across the country trust Good Health Saunas for sweating smoke out of their skin after fighting fire. Learn more at goodhealthsaunas.com. That's goodhealthsaunas.com.
Hey, it's Kyle Walsh for Universal Windows Direct. If you've been cold in your own home, do not suffer through one more winter in a cold and drafty home. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free. Plus, a free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Tell them I told you to call and get an additional $250 off your project. Go to universalwindowsdirect.com, and you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman from KBN. Tune in to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman from 2 to 5 every day. WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. Showtime. The right way to start your day. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
You got some new spectacles there, pal.
I did. Joshy loves them because they're like his, but my wife says they're too small for my face and I look like Harry Potter. I look stupid.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter!
I'm like, I really don't care what you think, and I'm just wearing them for spite.
Are you doing magic? Let's see them. Sunshine, daisies, buttermellow. Turn this stupid fat rat yellow.
What do you got in your hand there? A magic wand, Harry Potter? You're not doing yourself any favors with the old magic wand.
If I hear you yell,
Oculus Reparo.
I've only tried a few simple ones myself, but they've all worked for me.
Oculus Reparo sounds like fix my glasses.
Yes,
it is.
Repair. Wow, that was layered drilling, buddy. Good job.
Oculus Reparo. That's better, isn't it?
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studios at the Avenue with Gabe Neitzel and Mark Chamorro. Here's Jen Latta.
Running her mouth, she wants to ride it, she's trying to hide it. I'm cool as ever, she's too excited. Her man look like he wanna fight. He ain't doing nothing but running his mouth. Talk about it.
It is the big story in the NFL this morning, last night. And it has nothing to do with our big guy, which is fantastic. Mike McCarthy keeping his job in Dallas after the Packers absolutely demolished them, curb stomped them, embarrassed them in Jerry's world. I gotta admit, guys, I was surprised by this. I thought he was dead man walking. And then all of a sudden, I even heard of coaches that were interested. I mean, I heard like Vrabel was interested in that gig, and Belichick was interested in that gig. And I know that our friend Evan Cohen and Michelle Smallman and Chris Canty this morning on Unsportsmanlike were talking about, would you want that gig? You want Jerry Jones overseeing everything you're doing? You want, we've talked at times about how Packers don't have an owner. And you know what that means? No meddling, right? Can't come in and say, this is what I want. So that's kind of a good thing. It's a silver lining, if you will. Were you surprised, Gabe, that after what went down in Big D, Mike McCarthy kept his job?
Trying to read Jerry Jones's mind is unbelievable because he chased the best coach he ever had out of town after winning 2 Super Bowls.
But feuded with him for years.
But then was patient enough with Jason Garrett, where Jason Garrett was the coach for a decade. I don't know if you can be shocked any time Jerry Jones does or doesn't do anything. Because at the end of the day, he has won 12 games each of the last 3 years. Clearly the playoffs have not been what they expected. My guess is Jerry, maybe if he really wanted to, put out a couple of feelers and then ultimately decided that this was the best for his team and this was the best because they're stuck with Dak. Like the contract they have, they're stuck with Dak. So if he thinks the best he can do to get the most out of Dak is still Mike McCarthy, I guess it's not that surprising. But trying to figure out what the hell Jerry Jones is doing is good luck.
It's the Botox. It's affecting
that
his
makes you
brain.
go crazy?
Yeah, I guess. But out of these 3, who would you take? Belichick, Vrabel, or Harbaugh? Because after that, it's going to be a bunch of guys. I don't know who that is.
Well, Dan Quinn might get a gig, right? Like he's interviewing for gigs.
Vrabel would be my number one on that list.
I think I agree with you on that.
Vrabel? Yeah, I'd go Vrabel because there's an element of youth there. Like I don't know how much longer Belichick's going to be around, and then you have Harbaugh who's 60. Like who knows
Chew,
when
I
he
thought you'd
wants to
be
walk
all
away.
in on Vrabel. Former player, he's got that tough mindset. Like he wants warriors out there.
He would be my second, but I mean, you got to look at what Harbaugh's done. Took a team, took San Fran to the Super Bowl, loses to his brother, which I mean, it's hard to get to the Super Bowl, and then, obviously goes to Michigan, takes 5, 6. I don't know how long has it been, Jen, but he wins a national championship.
Sure.
I mean, he's a hell of a coach.
He's real quirky, man. And again, quirky's not bad. I want to be very clear on that. Quirky's not bad, but you just have to kind of brace yourself for quirky. You know what I mean?
Well, I think what would you call Dan Campbell, though?
Is that your stomach?
What the hell was that? Yes. Do you have something? Do you have the thing growing inside you again?
I just ate a donut. I just ate a donut, which
what?
I really
Hold on.
Wait, maybe yesterday.
Oculus Reparo.
Maybe
El Stomaco.
I don't think you can say the Oculus part there, big guy.
A donut?
Yeah, you don't eat sweets.
Yeah, I know.
You don't eat in the morning.
My wife needed a little wine last night, and I indulged a little bit. And
is that because you went 6 times platinum?
Yes. So I didn't know you guys. This microphone is way too sensitive.
That was disturbing, buddy. It was
what would you call Dan Campbell? Quirky? Throwback? Psycho?
Well, it's so interesting, right? Because Dan Campbell was in the news last night about, one of his players being, violent on the football field.
In football?
And he endorsed it. I mean, you guys, I don't know if you saw all this, but like Dan Campbell was actually endorsing and saying that his guy was playing the right way. He was aiming for the thigh pad and whatnot. So
did he get 6 million views? Yeah, baby.
He gets more than that every Sunday.
I was going to say, yeah. How many people are tuning into NFL games? 24, 25.
That's only if it's on Peacock.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's a different cat.
He is,
yep. I'd call him old school.
I wonder how much that situation that Vrabel dealt with in Tennessee is going to hang over his head during the interview process. You think there are going to be teams out there going, what do you mean you didn't communicate with your owner? What do you mean you guys weren't really speaking regularly? What do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't you think that's something that he's going to have to address and talk about?
Yeah, but doesn't that go back to the owner firing the GM in the middle of the season a couple years ago because he didn't communicate something that happened within the organization? So I think there's a little spite there. When if I was hiring the guy, that wouldn't mean anything to me.
But I just
really
think that
would.
Harbaugh.
It's all about winning.
I think Harbaugh's short term. Like he hasn't stuck around anywhere ever.
No.
He's kind of bounced around, and I think he's the type of coach, and that's just the way sometimes coaches are, where they can last for a short period of time, and then their message grows stale or whatever, and they have to move on. I think if you're hiring Harbaugh, he's probably going to be your coach for 5 years max.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's he going to go? Back to college?
He could go back to college. He could retire, man. He's 60.
Dude, why don't these guys retire? What is that?
Ego.
Right? Is that all it is, honestly?
Yeah.
Is it all about, like, if I'm not on a sideline, if I'm not coaching the game, I'm irrelevant? Because I don't think Bill Belichick needs to do anything else. We had this conversation with Aaron Rodgers before. If he had decided to hang him up instead of going to the Jets, would it have changed his legacy? Would people have been like, well, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer, but then he didn't continue his career. So I don't know. I got to think twice about this now.
I think the same thing motivates Belichick as it does Aaron Rodgers. They want to do it somewhere else and prove it wasn't the organization that did it. It was them.
But you're 72 years old. You're walking up 17.
Yeah. I think we all agree.
If he's coaching longer than Harbaugh, I would not be shocked. Or wherever their next stops are, I think Belichick lasts longer than Harbaugh.
But I get Belichick because how many wins is he away from Shula, which might be something he really wants. And I don't think it's a big number. I get it from that standpoint. But, I mean, and then look at what's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is 70. I mean, he looks great.
Yeah, he
for
does
his
look
age,
great.
but he's up there in age, too.
14 wins away from tying Shula for Belichick.
So that's what? 2 years? 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, you go 9-8 for 2 years, and you're the all-time winningest coach.
I guess maybe that's motivating him.
From one old head coach to another, yesterday on KBN, guys, I'm not sure if you heard this, but Rob Domofsky had a little bit of a story about your guy, Chew, your old coach, Mike Holmgren. Take a listen to what Rob Domofsky had to say yesterday about Mike Holmgren.
Do you truly believe the Packers can beat the 49ers here on Saturday?
I do, and I think the quarterback has just taken it to a completely higher level. I actually talked to Mike Holmgren today for a story that's running on ESPN. I think it's going to run Friday or Saturday, just about how Matt LaFleur probably, deserves more credit than he gets because, the feeling earlier was that, Matt LaFleur won because he had because he had Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. And I think what he's done this year shows that, he wasn't just riding Rodgers' coattails. And I bring up Mike Holmgren because Mike said something to me that I thought was interesting. He's like, look, I have not watched a lot of Packers games this year, but I watched that game against the Cowboys, and that guy, Jordan Love, man, I would have loved to have coached that kid. And Mike Holmgren saying that. Wow. I mean, we know the list of quarterbacks from Montana, Young, Favre, Hasselbeck that Mike Holmgren's coach.
You know what I wish he asked him? Would you have liked to coach Aaron Rodgers? What do you think he would have said?
I think he would have. Well,
wait, time out. What do you think he would have said? You're the one who has an intimate relationship with this dude. What do you think Mike Holmgren would have said about playing with Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, if it was off a microphone, just off the record, I would say no.
Why don't we?
I'm willing to bet he would have wanted to coach young Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Why don't we call up Mike and ask him on the air?
No, you can do it.
He doesn't.
I ain't doing it. Forget it. I'm out.
Chewy did give me the number. I have the number.
What's crazy is we got big talker Chewy this morning.
Yeah,
right? The first hour.
Holmgren involved.
Yeah.
Collaring over there. He's Nick Bosa hearing ghosts.
Chewy is scared of two people in this world.
Yes.
His wife.
Yes.
And Mike Holmgren.
Yes. Still to this day.
That
scares the hell out of me.
That's the list.
Seems like such a nice guy.
Let's get back to the sound, though, guys, because I feel like
we had him on, like during the pandemic. Chewy and I had him on. I had to call, and the only reason Holmgren called me back was because I mentioned Chewy's name. And he was so excited to talk to Chew.
And then Chewy was like, I'm going to hum.
No, I was a total ball hog.
I heard, yeah.
Total ball hog. I asked
been.
19 questions. Gabe got one. And Gabe was going to ask him 2 questions. He's like, I got to get going. I'm out of here.
Tried to sneak in a second.
But let me ask you this, Chew. This feels like a hell of an endorsement for the young quarterback, right? Or are we putting too much into this? Are we saying it's an older coach, it's a great coach, but is that too much to say that him saying he would love to coach Jordan Love is a major endorsement of the kid?
Oh, yes. Yes, he would have loved to mold him, and he's still in the process of being molded. Mike loved projects, And
well,
the thing about Mike, but the thing about Mike is you had to be careful when you disagreed with him because he did not like that, which is one of the reasons why I don't think he would have worked well with Rodgers, Brett pushed the limit about as far as he could go, but Brett was an idiot, so he kind of Brett would have been the black sheep of the quarterbacks he loved to coach, and that's why those two got along so well.
All right, good to know. I mean, to me, it feels like an endorsement. It feels like any time a head coach says, I would like to coach that guy,
it means they see that type of success.
Right. It means they see potential in him. It means they see a lot of the ingredients to greatness. Nobody aligns themselves with caca, right? No. Nobody sits there and goes, I'm trying to think of somebody without taking somebody out. But
we started talking about Jerry Jones. He aligned himself with Jason Garrett for all those years.
Yeah, I guess from a player standpoint, who's somebody who came out of school and... is it fair to say like a Johnny Manziel? Is that fair? I don't want to, again, be assassinating quarterbacks over here, but were there a lot of people lining up to coach Johnny Manziel in the NFL? No, because he didn't have the work ethic, and he didn't, it was you got the best of him at Texas A&M, and that was kind of how it was always going to be. So I like the idea of a coach saying, I would love to work with that guy. I think that's huge. I don't want to put too much into it, but I do think that's a nice thing. Joshy, let me ask you this: should we expect at least one Super Bowl out of Jordan Love, given that type of endorsement and given what we've seen from him?
I think at this point, with the way the Packers organization has proven to run and the talent we've seen and the highs from Jordan Love, there's no question. Like at this point, anything less than a Super Bowl would be severely disappointing for Jordan Love.
Right. So more than one after this year?
So this year, and then after this year.
This one's a gimme.
Yeah, so obviously we've got the Super Bowl that's coming this year.
Correct.
Lombardi back to 1265.
I would say anything less than 2. I mean, this team is set up. And let's look at the resources they have moving forward. They have a ton of draft picks, and they're starting to get cap healthy with already a very, very good roster. Now, the defense probably needs a little tweaks, hopefully not this Saturday, but they're set up. They're set up really well. Now it's, soon as this season is over with, here you go, Goody. Work your magic again.
It's crazy how exciting it is and how I think exciting this offseason is going to be. Instead of where we were back in October thinking wholesale changes to, okay, they've got some pieces. Now you just have to kind of, sprinkle in the right ingredients around the core that is currently in place.
But I still think that the term rebuild was fair. I know that the team was trying to stay away from it and distance themselves from it. And you can make the argument that the performance they've had this year, being in the playoffs, being one of 8 teams remaining at this point, they could say, no, see, we told you it wasn't a rebuild. I think the rebuild's ahead of schedule. I think they got some really good contractors who were willing to put in overtime, unlike, sometimes the ones that you get who are like, the job will be done in June. And then in November, you're going, can we please finish the bathroom? Can you please put the tile up? Can you please install the shower?
Felt like a rebuild in October.
Yeah.
2-5?
Yeah.
Again, I keep coming back to that because that's how far this team has come. Didn't win a game in October. It was bleak.
Yeah.
And now they're in the divisional round.
But do we need to reassess, and I know we're up against it here and we got to get to top 8 today, but do we need to reassess our expectations for an NFL season? Have we gotten to the point now, guys, where, we joke every year about how the 72 Dolphins are popping champagne because nobody's going to have an undefeated season, or at least nobody has since them. I don't think we're ever going to see it again. I don't think that a team is going to run the table. And so there's a part of me that feels like those bleak stretches might just be part of modern day NFL.
Well, you know why, Jen? You know why? It's because your superstars only play 12 games. If you took an average of superstars, they're not playing a full season, right? Yeah. I mean, look at San Francisco. Went on that. They lost a handful of players to injury, and they went on that 3-game skid.
Yeah, but it's easier because you knew what the 49ers were. You've seen them perform in the past. We didn't know what this team was. Like at 2-5, they ended up bouncing back, but at 2-5, it could have gone the other direction.
Oh, sure.
They could have been 2-5 just because they were a bad football team.
I also think we need to readjust, not necessarily NFL as a whole, but we probably should trust the Packers organizationally more than we did this year.
Thank you. I did. I said that when we were headed into the season. They're not a buffoon franchise.
I'm so used to seeing teams attempt to do what the Packers did this year, replace a quarterback, replace a veteran, and kind of start over. And it goes wrong most of the time in the NFL.
No, 95% of the time.
So the fact that it went right, it put us all in the space of, I've seen the Browns do this. I've seen the Lions do this. I've seen the Bears do this.
So the Patriots do it.
Right. And you kind of this seems like where it's tracking. And we should have probably given the Packers, because what we know them as a correctly run organization, we should have given them more credit and more leeway in that downtime.
Yeah, but it was too easy to just jump all over Goody. It was too easy to kind of follow the narrative that he didn't know what he was doing, that by jettisoning off a future Hall of Famer, he was clearly a dum-dum. It was too easy to follow that narrative.
Well, let me ask you this. Was our bashing of Joe Barry warranted?
1,000%.
Yeah.
It was?
Yes.
Jen's not answer.
I would answer affirmative as well, because he came in with a shoddy resume. And so the idea was, okay, haven't been able to do it in the other places you've been, but maybe you needed a change of scenery. Maybe you needed to, align yourself with your guy, Matt LaFleur, and all will, end well. But the evidence was there. All the seasons that he's been the guy, the Packers defense, particularly the run defense, has struggled and has been an Achilles heel. So at some point you go, I think you are who you are. Can't change your spots. DeVito and Baker.
That easy.
Yeah. NFC Players of the Week, DeVito and Baker, if you please. Have you guys been to Potawatomi Casino Hotel recently? It's in the heart of downtown Milwaukee, and there is a table waiting for you. They got 12 bars and restaurants, a winning seat at 40 table games, 3,000 slot machines, the thrill of bingo, full-service sports betting, and more. My husband is surprising me. It's not surprising more. He had to tell me. With a birthday at Potawatomi, bringing a bunch of our closest friends. We're going to do a little dinner, and we're going to do a little gambling. It'll be a great night. And if you're looking for a place to beat the cold, Potawatomi is your spot. Light up your senses at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Explore more at their website, which is paysbig.com, paysbig.com.
Full show podcasts, interviews, and special content is available right now at WisconsinOnDemand.com. This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy on 94.5 ESPN.
A few issues out on the road. First of all, on eastbound 94, the Moreland Road on-ramp, we have a crash there. Another one on westbound 94. Actually, it's a vehicle fire right at the Waukesha-Jefferson County line. The left lane is blocked because of that, so watch out for that. Also, 894 westbound, the Forest Home off-ramp, an accident there. And another accident on the ramp from 9th Street, Mineral Street, to 4394 southbound. This is a car that got stuck in an embankment there. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today, mostly cloudy with a high of 18. Tonight, light snow likely up to an inch to the north, 1 to 3 inches in Milwaukee and points south with a low of 10. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
A jewelry store can be a pretty scary place. It's full of diamonds and gold, and sometimes the salespeople can make you feel like you really don't belong.
Who wants to feel like that? Buying a diamond should be one of the happiest and most exciting moments of your life, and we promise to make it that way for you. Cross my heart. No matter your age, how you're dressed, or how much money you have, you're going to have a magical experience when you come to Kessler's.
You're going to see the largest selection of diamond engagement rings in one place at one time than you've ever seen in your life.
Looking at rings is a wonderful way to spend time together. And when you find the ring you know is the one, but cash might be a little tight, we've got fantastic financing available and we'll work hard to get you approved.
We're on your side. Kessler's is always on your side. We're 8 stores strong with 6 locations in Wisconsin and 2 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We'd be thrilled to have you stop in and see what we're all about.
Hey, it's Gabe Neitzel from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. You've heard me talk about the results mentality has had on my life, but don't just take it from me. Jason has had success too, thanks to mentality.
My only regret is I didn't do it sooner. Knowing once again I've gotten the treatments done and continuing, I do feel, stuff does hurt a little bit more, but I'm 40, in my 40s, and that's going to happen. But again, the energy levels, it is above and beyond. Again, I'm back in that age where I'm like, this is amazing.
Get started today at lowtusa.com.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
The top 8 at 8.
Name something that follows the word pork. You pine. Huh?
One category.
Name something people take with them to the beach. Turkey.
The top 8 answers.
The first thing you buy in a supermarket. Turkey.
The top 8 at 8.
A food often stuffed. Turkey.
The top 8 at 8 on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
Name Popeye's favorite food.
Chicken. Oh my God.
The top 8 at 8 on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
All right, Gabe, what do we got today?
List of 8 things in front of me. You and Chewy will guess back and forth. Once you each get one incorrect, we open it up to the fans. 800-990-3776. And whoever gets the last one on the list will win the ESPN Milwaukee prize pack. Kind of keeping the same theme of the last 8 Packers to do something, I am looking for the last 8 Packers running backs who have gone over 100 yards in a playoff game.
Ooh. Okay. Grab my little penny pen here. How about Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones did it for the first time in his career last week against the Cowboys. He's number 1 on the list. Amon Green is number 5 on the list. He had over 100 yards in 2003 against the Philadelphia Eagles, also known as the 4th and 26 game.
Ooh. Why'd you have to bring that up?
It's the note I wrote for myself here.
I feel like you like saying 4th and 26.
I don't.
I actually thought we weren't allowed to use that combination of words here in this state.
So many bad things have happened since.
How about James Starks? I remember him from that Super Bowl run.
He had a 100-yard game against Philadelphia in the wild card round of that Super Bowl run. He is number 3 on the list.
So Amon was 203, and he was number 5 on the list.
Correct.
Let's go. Let's go with Dorse the Horse.
Dorse the Horse ran for over 100 yards in 1998 in that wild card game where Jerry Rice fumbled.
Reset the list for me, please.
Aaron Jones is 1, James Starks is 3, Amon Green 5, Dorsey Levin 6.
Eddie Lacy?
Eddie Lacy had 100 yards against the Cowboys in 2014, where Des Bryant seems to think he caught a football.
He was talking about that just the other day. I saw that on social.
Let's go with James Stark. You know what? What the hell? Let's go Tony Fisher.
Tony Fisher did not run for over 100 yards in a Packers playoff game.
Reset the list for me one more time, please.
Aaron Jones, Eddie Lacy, James Starks are the top 3. Amon Green, Dorsey Levins 5 and 6.
Brandon Jackson?
Boy, I'm not sure if he ever ran for 100 yards in a game, much less a playoff game.
Is that the Bucs player?
It's Brandon Jennings.
No,
that is not a correct answer.
Darn it! How many did we get?
You got 5 out of the 8. I really thought you guys were going to get 7 of 8.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know one. I missed
You said
one.
Dorsey. I'm just writing down who we guessed. You said Amon Green, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Aaron Jones, Eddie Lacy, James Starks, Amon Green, Dorsey Levins.
Did anybody say Ryan Grant? I have him on my list.
What are you doing?
I have him on my list.
I don't care.
Yeah, but you
don't get to guess
wrong.
again.
What about my mulligan?
No.
Yeah, what about my mulligan?
You get the mulligan.
He lives in Canada.
Yeah, we learned that here on the show.
yards.
Once you get this deep into the list, you don't get the mulligan.
I had Ryan Grant on my list. I just forgot to say him.
It's not my fault.
The most yards Brandon Jackson had in a playoff game was 34 yards in 2007. 68 yards over 3 games.
Did he ever run for 100 in a single game?
He must have run for 100 in a single game.
I don't know if he did.
Well, he had 703 total yards in 2010. Let's see if we can
You going game by game log?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the game log here because Brandon Jackson, the one thing I remember about him, he was elite behind the line of scrimmage. He could juke guys, but the second to get back to the line of scrimmage, the second he crossed that line, somebody breathed on him, he's going down. That's what I remember about Brandon Jackson. He was Barry Sanders behind the line, man.
800-990-3776. 800-990-3776. That is our ESPN Milwaukee talk and text line, and it is how you can get into the game. Gabe's, what's the category again today?
The last 8 Packers running backs to go over 100 yards in a playoff game. Brandon Jackson, 2 games in his career with over 100 yards.
Thank you. All right, I feel slightly vindicated that he actually did cross the 100-yard threshold twice during his time with the Green Bay Packers. Let's go out to Jim in West Bend. Jim, you're up first with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
How about Edgar Bennett?
Edgar Bennett had 100 yards rushing in the wild card game in 1995 against the Falcons.
Keep going, Jim.
Ryan Grant.
Ryan
How about
Grant
that?
had 201 yards famously in 2008. Also, his name was mentioned this last week because he had 3 touchdowns in that game, much like Aaron Jones had 3 touchdowns.
Right. Who did we say those were? It was Randall Cobb had 3 touchdowns in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Grant had 3 touchdowns in a game, and Sterling Sharp had 3 touchdowns in a playoff game.
We have 7 of the 8. We have Aaron Jones, Eddie Lacy, James Starks, Ryan Grant, Amon Green, Dorsey Levens, Edgar Bennett, 1 through 7. Do you know number 8 in the last 8 Packers to go over 100 yards?
Is it a running back?
It is a running back.
Oh, then I'm out. I was going to say Aaron Rodgers, but no.
No. Aaron Rodgers is like 9th all-time, though.
Rushing yards?
In Packers playoff rushing yards.
What? Gabe, what number was Edgar?
He was 7.
Oh, so there's one more.
One more after him.
Breaking news, Brandon Jackson in 2007 against the Detroit Lions had 113 rushing yards.
You were answering the phones, but he did that twice in his career.
That is a lot of airtime for Brandon Jackson, you guys.
He had 99 once, too. So close.
So close.
Packers in 6.
Let's go out to
back in 6.
Sam in Kenosha. Sam, you're on with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
I don't think so, but I'll go with Sam Congato.
Now, Sam Congato
Yeah,
never
they didn't
played in a
make the
playoff
playoffs.
game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do like the
Sam
guess,
Con
though.
was. Yeah.
It's a good
Love
guess.
Sam Congato.
Let's go out to Mike in Pewaukee. Mike, you're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
Actually, the last guy just took my only last
Ooh.
guess.
800-990-3776. So this is somebody pre-Edgar Bennett then?
Before 1995.
I don't even know.
Is this pre-invention of like modern amenities?
Well, I mean, when Chewy and the gang made the playoffs in '95, like they made the play. It'd been a while since the team had made the
Were the
playoffs.
Packers on color TV at the time?
That's a great question.
Maybe if you had a little cash, could spring for the color television.
The rabbit ears.
800-990-3776.
This is where, because I thought you guys would get, and you had mentioned Ryan Grant. I thought Chewy would get Edgar because obviously he, famously played with Edgar and was in that game in 1995, and Chewy has just a football brain. So I thought those were the 7 you would get. The 8th one was always going to be the hard one.
Let's go out to Bob in Tosa. Bob, you're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
Jim Taylor.
Jim Taylor is not correct, but the
era?
thinking is not flawed.
No.
Thinking is not flawed. If we were doing, because the other list I thought about doing was the top 8 all-time rushers, and it would have been the same, except Jim Taylor would have replaced the one we don't know.
Mike in Pewaukee, you're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete this top 8 at 8 list?
Okay.
My guess was already guessed. I thought I already answered that.
Oh, darn. All right, no problem, Mike. Appreciate you. Let's go out to Howard in Sherman Park. You're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete the top 8 at 8 list?
Probably not, but I'll try. Eddie Lee Ivory.
Eddie Lee Ivory. Great guess, but unfortunately it is incorrect.
So you're talking about Jim Taylor's era? Is that what you said?
Thinking was not flawed, correct.
The thinking was not flawed.
It's one of 2 guys. I got him.
You want to write it down on a plate and show us?
Yes. Let me move my donut first.
Mike and Franklin, you're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
Trudell Middleton.
It is not correct.
Holy moly, this is tough.
Here you go.
You see, I'm not.
I mean, I don't have.
Hold on. We're not looking.
What's he showing? What's he showing on the screen?
Don't think it's right.
Okay.
I don't want to say it out loud in case it is.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
I don't think.
I guess if you're watching the stream,
I'm betting on Eric and Franklin having the right answer.
All right.
Let's go out to Eric and Franklin. You're up next on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Can you complete our top 8 at 8 list?
Was Paul Hornung guessed?
In the last NFL championship before the Super Bowl, the 1965 NFL championship game, Paul Hornung had 100 yards.
He was my other one.
Other than the one you wrote on the plate?
Who's JB?
Gabe.
John Brockington?
Yeah.
Huh.
Again, not a bad guess because there were a couple of playoff sporadic appearances in the 80s, but The Packers went 30 years between 100-yard rushers in the playoffs. Wow. 1965, Paul Hornung, and 1995, Edgar Bennett.
Wow, what an unbelievable run. All right, congratulations to our big winner. I believe it was Eric in Franklin. You are the recipient of an ESPN Milwaukee prize package.
Decided to sing that, or?
Prize package. I'm like Oprah. Didn't she used to do that? Prize package. Well, now I'm all, ready to sing because of our thing with Josh and Heartland. We got a little tune dropping tomorrow. New playoff tune.
We unfortunately made him work a little bit harder this time.
Yeah.
This was a little bit more hard.
We?
Well,
I like the collective, but it was not a we.
We win as a team, we lose as a team.
How about Chewy the other day telling us he loves the song Me and Mrs. Jones? So Josh and Heartland, bless his soul, is like, I'm going to pull that song for Chewy. And he writes lyrics and everything to spoof, right? Weird Al Yankovic style. And then Chewy doesn't know the song at all. Not even a little bit.
I just knew Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones.
We got a good thing going on. He didn't do you any favors either by putting SFCA when he's talking about.
Man, you could not, for the life of you, hit all 4 of those letters. SFCA.
Not one time.
It was for spite.
Not one time.
Who were you spiting?
San Francisco.
Oh, you were just calling him FCA?
Yeah.
I was like, is that the brother of the FDA? All right, so we will drop that song, I believe, tomorrow in advance of the Packers-Niners game on Saturday. Gabe?
If you want to get ready for your green and gold tailgate this weekend, easiest way to do it with a trip and a visit to Bunzel's. Bunzel's Meat Market, 90th and Burleigh in Milwaukee. This week, you can pick up marinated chicken breasts. They have bourbon, garlic parmesan, teriyaki, and more, just $5.99 a pound. Homemade Polish sausage is just $5.99 a pound. All natural meaty country ribs, $3.99 a pound. Ooh. I have to grab some of those country-style meat ribs and throw them on the smoker this weekend. I think that'd go great with the football game. USDA Certified Choice Angus T-Bone and Porterhouse Steaks are $19.99 a pound at Bunzel's. And if you stop by Bunzel's, 90th and Burleigh, you will not regret it. Always great deals, always great prices. Make sure you check out bunzels.com.
Jen, Gabe, and Chewy continues next on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got delays for sure. Southbound on 43, basically from Bender Road all the way down past Capitol Drive. Northbound's backed up around the North Avenue curve up to Keith. Got a few accidents up on the board as well. Eastbound 94, the Moreland Road on-ramp. We've also got 894 westbound of the Forest Home off-ramp. So both of these areas are going to find some delays with that. Also another accident on the ramp from 9th Street to 4394 southbound. And a vehicle fire on westbound 94. It's at the Waukesha-Jefferson County line. That's blocking the left lane. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast today. Mostly cloudy with a high of 18 tonight. Light snow likely up to an inch to the north, 1 to 3 inches in Milwaukee and points south with a low of 10. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazagon, 94.5 ESPN.
Weather is brought to you by Good Health Saunas. Get your in-home infrared sauna today. Great for post-workout detoxing, skin rejuvenation, back relief, and flexibility. Plus, more energy from better sleep. GoodHealthSaunas.com.
TaxAct can think of a million things more fun than filing taxes. TaxAct is going to name some now. Sitting in traffic. Folding a fitted bedsheet. Listening to your coworker talk about his fantasy team. Digging a hole. Digging an even larger hole next to that original hole. Unfortunately, TaxAct's filing software can't make taxes fun. But TaxAct can help you get them done. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream. But it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
I lock up my Old Spice Fiji aluminum-free dry spray to keep that 24/7 lasting freshness safe for myself. Fresh coconuts, palm trees in the wind. It's like catching waves in Fiji. Actually, I just talked myself into a refreshing spritz of Fiji. My Old Spice is missing! No!
Hey, it's Kyle Walsh for Universal Windows Direct. If you've been cold in your own home, do not suffer through one more winter in a cold and drafty home. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free. Plus, a free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Tell them I told you to call and get an additional $250 off your project. Go to universalwindowsdirect.com, and you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Hey, remember when we were having conversations without words like inflation, recession? Yeah, I miss those days too. So at Quick Trip, we're feeling a bit nostalgic. So we've lowered the prices on all our take-home meals. Every day, not on second Tuesdays or every Good Friday. Every day, make your next meal a trip down savings lane with chicken, bacon, mac and cheese, just $4.99. Or spaghetti and meatballs, $5.99. Quick Trip. We got mealtime savings nostalgia covered.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
I'm going to go with the corn dog, the old corn dog. The corn dog for the
pierogies
birthday.
and borscht all day long.
That's just crazy. Nobody likes borscht, let alone on their
it's
birthday.
so good. It's the only thing that makes my mouth water, other than my wife.
On 94.5 ESPN.
I let it go, cause I won't see you later when we're not allowed to talk it out. I said I'd go, promise I won't show, but I'm still trying to figure it out.
Back here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, getting you set for that Packers-Niners game on Saturday evening. Saturday, huh? How do we feel about the Saturday slot? So it could ruin the rest of your weekend.
But
you don't like the anxiety.
I like the Saturday slot. I like getting it out of the way. I hated not having a game because the Bills-Steelers game got moved. I hated not having that game to help pass the time on Sunday, waiting for that Sunday afternoon. So get it done on Saturday night. Why not?
You should have seen Gabe and I here in the office preparing for the sidecast, which will be back, and everyone can watch out there during the game on Saturday. But we were like watching golf. We were pacing around the room. We weren't in a good spot prior to that game.
No, we were anxious. Couldn't wait for it to start.
You guys are going to be in the dumps if they lose?
I won't, no.
No.
I mean, this season is a huge success. This is the cherry on top of the Sunday.
Yeah, but again, you're in. I will.
Yeah, I get it.
I'll be sad.
Yeah,
I'll be sad that the run is over.
I'll be disappointed.
Lose. Yeah, depending upon how it happens. Yeah, there could be some disappointment, but no matter what, there's going to be a sadness of this season being over because the last couple of weeks have been so fun during this run.
Well, especially if it's a close game, right? You'll think of every single missed opportunity, every single mistake that led to the outcome, that if you had just done one thing different, if you had just done that play differently, maybe you end up moving on. But I don't think we want to do that. I think we got good vibes only right now, and we are feeling like the Packers have a really good chance to win this game and be one of 4 remaining teams in the NFL playoff picture. I want to get to the sound from Adam Stenovich, who is the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. I didn't know he had coached at Michigan, was at Michigan, probably. I'd love to get his thoughts on Harbaugh at some point, but he's not talking about that this week. He's talking about the Green Bay Packers, and this is what he had to say yesterday on the differences of having Love run the offense as compared to previous quarterbacks.
There definitely is a value to that because half the time, when you get done with a drive, sometimes when in past years you'd just be trying to figure out what play was called, you know what I mean? So now we know what was supposed to happen. But with Aaron, he would see stuff and make checks and all that you didn't know exactly what was happening at the time. But with this, we're all kind of on the same page and going. And not to say that way wasn't good because we had great results with it, but this is nice because at least you can kind of build an offense around it, build plays off plays, as the game progresses. Hey, we did this, now we're going to do this, now we're going to do this. So I think our communication on the sideline has been better. just from that aspect of being able to, as the game progresses, have plays off of plays and things like that. So, that is a huge advantage this year.
And that, Chew, has been what I've been saying about why I have preferred the idea of Jordan Love running the offense, because so much of an NFL offense, which I'm sure you will corroborate, builds off of itself. You show a certain formation, you show a certain look, you run a certain play. The defense marks it and says that's what they ran out of that formation, or maybe they had seen it on film the week before as they were preparing for the matchup. Then you run it again, and now they've got it in their head that that's what you're going to run. And then, nope, in the third quarter of the game, you line up in the same formation, you run a completely different play, or you do play action and you get them out of their spots. Like, I feel like that is so much of success in the NFL. And when you got a guy out there ad-libbing and changing that dynamic and that structure of an offense that builds on itself, it does make it more difficult for the coaches to call a game, doesn't it, Chew?
Oh, yeah. That little clip there really surprised me on how much power they gave Aaron Rodgers. I knew he had some power, but I didn't know he had that much. And there's your answer to the question we had earlier. Holmgren would never have existed with Aaron Rodgers. Just never. And that's my concern about LaFleur. He is a great play caller, right? I think he's one of the best in the league. My only hesitation is, does he have what it takes to run this team? Because with success and with the players they have, you have to manage egos. And the more success and the more visibility that these players get, you want to keep them grounded, and what if they're not grounded? What if Watson next year has an unbelievable year? Does he turn into a little, the prima donna thing? I don't know, and it's been a small sample size, if LaFleur can manage prima donnas. I mean, I would put Bakhtiari as a prima donna. How did he manage him? Seems like he went a little rogue. Jair, I don't know if he certainly thinks he's a prima donna. I don't know if his play has dictated that kind of moniker, but that's the only thing that concerns me. You have to nip this stuff in the bud before it gets out of control.
Well, it's pretty easy to nip in the bud. Like, you win 2-time MVP, then you get a little bit more autonomy. Like, because I mean, this is great and everything is great, but also, like, that also worked for the Packers, letting Aaron Rodgers do all those things. Like, they won 13 games 3 years in a row. Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. Like, it's not like it was all doom and gloom. Yes, the last season certainly did not work out when the roster needed to be turned over and they decided to trade away Davante Adams. But, I mean, for 3 out of the 4 years, it was really good for Aaron Rodgers, and it was really good for the Green Bay Packers.
But is it good for team morale? And I want to be clear on this, because winning always is. But if you feel like you've been boxed out of the process, if you feel like your opinion doesn't matter, if it appears as though what you've been hired to do has now been minimized because somebody else with a different position thinks they know better than you, I don't think that's great for morale. And I always will go back to Romeo Dobbs, who said, I learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers, even though he didn't talk to me. And so he's willing to say, look, I got better. I learned from him. I certainly did. Even though we didn't really have a relationship, certainly outside of the facility, and maybe even extending inside the facility as well. Like, this feels, and I know this might be prisoner of the moment, I know this might be recency bias, this feels like a better way. It just does. In part because it's cooperative. There's a connectivity. These are all buzzwords that we hear when we talk about successful businesses or successful teams. It isn't just one person who thinks they know better than everyone else, dictating to everyone else how to be.
Yeah, when the roster turned over, after you lost the veterans that you did, yes, then this is probably a better way to go. But again, like, this team still went 9-8. This team still had, it wasn't that long ago where they didn't play well against the Giants, where they didn't play well against the Buccaneers. Like, no. I don't want to. I mean, it worked for the Packers then. This works for this team. And as young as they are, that's what works for this team. And I think the credit for LaFleur is he was hired to do one job. Get Aaron Rodgers back to an MVP level. Did it. Got this offense working with Aaron Rodgers. Now this year, the question was completely different of what was being asked of him because of the roster turnover, and he's been able to do it again. Like being able to show that flexibility and be able to do different things with different teams, that's what's impressed me the most in this year of Matt LaFleur.
There's one thing I want to add to that, and it's actually like the football thing and not necessarily the morale. When Aaron Rodgers did what he did, it was on the back of Aaron Rodgers, and that was the only way you won. The proof is in the pudding that it was successful and it did work. But what is happening now opens up the Packers to winning games in different ways. It's not just Aaron Rodgers being Superman and winning games. It's the run game. If Jordan Love doesn't have it perfectly, you can make easier throws. Like it opens up a way of winning that is not normal for the Green Bay Packers in the way they used to and traditionally have always done things.
And taking nothing away from Matt LaFleur, Gabe, because I agree with you that Matt LaFleur should get his flowers for being able to coach Aaron Rodgers and managing that ego, which we all know existed, and then also turning the page and being able to successfully coach this group of young players. I don't want to take anything away from him, but you will never be able to convince me that Brian Gutekunst drafting Jordan Love, moving up to get him, was not a part and parcel part of Aaron Rodgers' motivation and getting him back to the MVP level. We know what motivates that guy. We know what has always pushed his train down the tracks. And when your GM goes out there and drafts your replacement, you will never convince me that did not play a role in Rodgers getting back to that MVP level.
But I also don't think that that's the reason why Goody did it, and I don't think that ever factored into Goody's.
No. I'm just saying it was a circumstance. It was a consequence. It was an unintended consequence, right? So again, I'm not taking anything away from LaFleur. I'm not taking anything away from Rodgers. I think that Rodgers benefited from a perceived slight, which was his GM going out and getting the quarterback of the future. And he was like, oh, you think I'm washed? Oh, you think I can't get the job done anymore? Watch me. Because that has always been what has motivated him, right, Chew?
And you can say the same thing about Brett. When they drafted Rodgers, motivated him. I mean, he had, even though he was gone, he probably had one of his best statistical seasons when he went to Minnesota.
Well, he prevented Brady from being a unanimous MVP in 2007 because he played that well in his last year in Green Bay.
Yeah.
But again, I think a lot of that had to do with McCarthy as well, getting him to clean up the turnovers. And maybe he was more willing to listen at that point because he knew that needed to be part of the success. Palermo's is Wisconsin's hometown pizza. Palermo's been making great tasting frozen pizza, including Palermo's, Connie's, Urban Pie, Scrim and Sicilian locally for over 55 years. Joshua was just talking about how we were here pretty early on Sunday before the green and gold game. And I almost housed an entire Palermo's Screamin' Sicilian I'm stuffed crust pizza because I was just nervously eating. It was just the nerve eating going on. And I'm sure it's going to happen again this week. I'm sure we're going to fire up some Palermo's, throw it in the pizza oven here, have a good time getting ready for the football. You can find your favorite Palermo's pizza in the freezer section at your local grocery store. Palermo's, it's Wisconsin's hometown pizza.
More Jen, Gabe, and Chewy coming up on 94.5 ESPN.
There are many reasons to choose document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems. Chris McLean, co-owner of DBAT Brookfield, the baseball and softball training facility, had his reasons.
I think the biggest thing, the important things for me are effective communication and timely response.
James Imaging Systems, Kyocera copiers, Kyocera network printers, Kyocera color systems, and the James team that works with you to provide the business technology to help you thrive.
Honestly, Candy had a lot to do with it.
Candy, your James Imaging Systems sales representative.
Candy built great rapport with our general manager right out of the gate. It helps that they're a local business. We're a local business as well.
James Imaging Systems, effective communication and local responsiveness.
They're a partner. James Imaging is a partner, not a vendor.
Kyocera from James Imaging Systems. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Get deals on what you need during MVP's bonus days at Lowe's. Right now, save $250 when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch sliding miter saw and adjustable stand together. Plus, save $710 on an LG kitchen suite and earn 3 times the bonus points on all LG appliances. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Bonus points calculated before tax and fees after applicable discounts of any. Valid 1/15 to 1/26. Subject to change.
If you're like most people, you've had your fair share of financial questions. Questions like, can I afford my son's travel hockey team? What if my daughter doesn't get that soccer scholarship? Will I be able to enjoy golf in retirement? At Empower, we know these questions can be stressful. We're here to help answer your what ifs and empower what's next. Join 18 million Americans and take control of your financial future. Start today at empower.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code SAVE to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SAVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SAVE for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This is Monster Jam. Witness big air, two-wheel skills, backflips, and all-out racing. It's the only place to see the world's best drivers tear up the dirt in your favorite Monster Jam trucks, like Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, Megalodon, and more. It's big-time fun for the whole family. Monster Jam, as big as it gets. Coming to Fiserv Forum this weekend. Brought to you by BKT Tires and Great Clips. Visit monsterjam.com today.
This is Jen, Gabe, and Chewy.
363. What's that?
The number of yards they gave up on the ground against the Philadelphia
It's a Bible
Eagles.
verse, John 3:63. Look it up. Tell us what it
I
says.
thought it was Joe 363, and it was "Thou shalt not get past me on the line of scrimmage."
On 94.5 ESPN.
Here we go.
So tomorrow on the show, we will certainly debut our new playoff song for the Green Bay Packers. We did a little Mr. Jones, Counting Crows. Gabe was shocked at how well I knew that song.
I wasn't shocked. You just know. You knew it so much better than, even I think you realized you knew it. Because you said at one point, you closed your eyes and, we're just singing. You just went all the way into
La, 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 floor. And then when Josh was like, eyebrows, yeah. It's like, oh my God, it's so good. So we will get to that tomorrow. I also want to talk about that run defense, because I guess if there's one area that I am nervous about with this Packers team, it is the run defense. They're allowing an NFL worst 4.66 yards per carry. This season, they ranked 28th against the run, 23rd in yards allowed per carry. But during their 4-game win streak, that number has shrunk to 3.8 at Carolina, 4.2 at Minnesota, 3.0 against Chicago. And then, of course, we know that they were able to limit Tony Pollard this past weekend to the tune of a victory as well. So I want to talk about that run defense and if it is going to be the thing that keeps the Packers from moving on. Guys, let's check out the polls today. Almost a little nervous to open up the old social media, but let me just...
I described it as a slot machine. Every time you open it, there's just 1,000 new things going on.
Face my fears, if you will. Jump on into the... Okay, here we go. If the Packers win the coin toss on Saturday, do you want them to receive the kick to start the game? Woo, doggy. 82% of people say yes. Go get them points. I agree with.
Got to set the tone.
Wow.
Setting the tone defensively.
Safely.
Don't hurt anybody. We are anti-hurting. We're the love team, remember?
The only thing I want to hurt is Chewy's feelings.
It's not that hard to do. Give you some tips. Give you some pointers.
I was about to say, he put down his headset.
He honestly was like,
deuces.
I'm out. Wilde and Tausch is next on ESPN Milwaukee.
Wrapping things up with a few issues out on the road. First of all, 894 westbound at Forest Home. The right lane is blocked with a crash. Things are